Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Shuklam Varadaram Vishnu Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Sarva Lokanam Vishaje Bhavarogina Nidaye Sarva Vidyanam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Apara Karuna Sindhum Jnanadam Shantarupinam Shri Chandrasekharendra Gurum Pranamami Mudanvaham Sadguru Charanaravinda Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Now we are seeing about Anandamaya kosha. So it all started with Pancha kosha Lakshanam. Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya. We have seen all these four. Now we have to go into Anandamaya kosha. There are certain things that we need to keep in mind. So all these koshas, including Anandamaya, they all are anatmas. What is anatma? Not self. These are not our own self. We superimpose ourselves with these koshas and we think that we are these koshas. But Shastra logically and through Veda Pramana also Vivekachudamani shows that we are not these koshas. We operate through these koshas, but we are not these koshas. So we have finished the first four koshas up until Vijnanamaya. Now we have to see the Anandamaya kosha. So in the shloka 207, the Lakshanam of Anandamaya kosha is given by the teacher. What is the Lakshanam? Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanur Vrittis Tamo Jrumbhita Syad Anandamaya Priyadi Gunaka Sveshtartha Labhodayaha Punyasyanubhave Vibhati Kritinam Ananda Rupa Swayam Sarvo Nandati Yatra Sadhu Tanubhrin Matra Prayatnam Vina, says Acharya. So let us see this shloka is very important shloka because this defines what is Anandamaya kosha. What does he say? Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanuhu. Anandamaya kosha. It is what? It is the Pratibimba Chumbita Tanuhu. Pratibimba. It is the reflection of Atman. Anandamaya kosha. It is a reflection of Atman. Remember, in the last class, we have seen Annamaya kosha, Atman. The nature of Atman is of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat, existence. Chit, intellect. Ananda, happiness. Like this is how we define Sat, Chit, and Ananda right now. We will change these definitions a little bit later, but now that Atman is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. All the koshas reflect the Sat aspect of Atman. Vijnanamaya kosha can reflect both Sat and Chit nature of Atman. Chit means what? Chetanam. Chetanam groundya. And the consciousness. Nan iruken enkindra unarvu. Tuya unarvu dan Chit. So Vijnanamaya kosha can reflect both Sat and Chit. While in the case of Anandamaya kosha, it reflects both Sat and the Ananda aspect of Atman. So, Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanuhu. It is a reflecting medium. Anandamaya kosha, it is a reflecting medium and it can reflect the major, even though it reflects both the Sat, the existence principle as well. But now we are only interested in the Ananda aspect. So that is why we say it reflects the Ananda aspect of Atman. Just like how sun and moon. Moon does not have its own light, but whatever the light that we see from the moon, the light is because of the sun. So the reflected light from the moon, the original source of that light is the sun. In the same way, Atman is omnipresent. Atma is existing everywhere. But this Anandamaya kosha is like a very, very small mirror that can only reflect the Ananda, that reflects the Ananda aspect of Brahman. So Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanuhu. And then what does he say? Vrittis tamo jrumbhita. It is Anandamaya kosha. It is a vritti. Vritti means what? It is a modification, and the modification arises from tamoguna, from the avidya. That is why we, when we saw the Sharira Trayam, we saw Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. We saw. So this Anandamaya kosha has to be connected to the Karana Sharira. And while explaining Karana Shariram, I said Karana Sharira is the Mula Vidya. Avidya means what? I don't know anything. That is called as Avidya. So Vrittis Tamo Jrumbita, and that Avidya is always risen by Tamo Guna, and that is why we say Anandamaya kosha. It arises from Tamoguna. How? We can ask, because it is going to come in the next shloka, but even now we will see. We experience the maximal Ananda. When do we experience maximal Ananda in our lifetime? Everybody experiences that. When we are sleeping. When we are sleeping without any dreams, that is called as sushupti. Jagrata, swapna, sushupti. Jagrata means waking up. Swapna means dreaming. Sushupti means deep sleep state. When our deep sleep state, everybody experiences the maximal happiness of their lifetime. We all experience it daily. What happens in our deep sleep state? We don't know. We don't associate with our physical body, Sthula Sharira. We don't associate with our mind as well. So mind, mano, buddhi, ahankara, chitta, all of these are part of Sukshma Sharira. Even though they all exist, my Sthula Sharira exists even when I sleep. My Sukshma Sharira exists even when I sleep. But I'm not aware of those Shariras. I don't associate myself with either Sthula Sharira or Sukshma Sharira. That is why we don't know what is happening during our deep sleep state. We hopefully know what is happening right now. Why? Because we are in the so-called waking up state. Even when we are dreaming, even when we do not operate through our physical body outside, our mind is always active in our dream state. So in our dream state, even though we don't operate outwards, but we are aware of our modifications of our mind. What are dreams? Dreams are nothing but chitta vritti. They are modifications of our mind. Our mind records whatever things that are happening during the waking up state, and it plays it again during our dream state. That is called as dream. So we are aware of our mind, at least our mind during our dream state. But what happens in our deep sleep state? In our deep sleep state, we are not aware of our physical body. We are not even aware of our Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. That is why he says, Anandamaya, it is Tamo Jrumbhita. So Anandamaya arises from the Tamo Guna. Syad Anandamaya Priyadi Gunakaha Sweshthartha Labhodayaha. When do we experience this Anandamaya? This Anandamaya is maximally experienced during the deep sleep state. But the problem is, during the deep sleep state, we are not aware of that Ananda. Only in our waking up state, if somebody comes and asks you, hey, how did you sleep? We will say, hey, I slept so nicely. But do we experience, do we remember that we get that Ananda? Are we aware of that Ananda while in our deep sleep state? We don't know. Our memory, we have an empty column in our memory. In our memory, that experience is not registered the way that we normally are registering our memory. Whenever something happens in my waking up state, I am aware of that then and there. We all are attending Vivekachudamani class. You know that you are attending Vivekachudamani class as you are attending the class. If somebody asks tomorrow, yes, I attended the class. I know yesterday 8:30 p.m. I attended the class. Even while attending the class, you know that you have attended the class. Even after attending the class, you know that you have attended the class. But what happens for the Anandamaya kosha? Anandamaya kosha is highly active in our deep sleep state. But the problem is, during our deep sleep state, we don't know that we are experiencing the Anandamaya kosha. We know that we experienced the Anandamaya kosha only after we woke up. So after we woke up, we know that, okay, when I slept nicely. So does that mean Anandamaya kosha can only be experienced in our deep sleep state? No. Anandamaya kosha can also be experienced in our wake up state and in our dream state. But the extent of our experience is different. The extent with which we experience the Anandamaya kosha is 100% uninterrupted experience in our deep sleep state. But when we are waking up and when we are dreaming, we don't have an uninterrupted experience of that Anandamaya kosha. That Anandamaya kosha experience is interrupted. It is also subject to gradation. It is also subject to gradation, number one, and it also has got, when the extent of experience is different. That is what here says, priyadi gunakaha sweshtartha labodhayaha. When we experience the wake up state or in the dream state, we experience the Anandamaya kosha when sweshtartha labodhayaha, when we experience something which we like. Swa ishta artha labha udayaha. Swa ishta artha labha udayaha. Ishta means what I want. If I experience those things which I want, then my Anandamaya kosha, I am experiencing a lot of Anandamaya kosha. I like gulab jamun. So when I eat gulab jamun, I experience my Anandamaya kosha. When I eat gulab jamun, I derive some pleasure. Like that, everybody has got each thing. When we are for somebody, it is driving a car so fast. For somebody, it is something else. So when we do what we want, we derive some pleasure out of it. Right? How did the pleasure come? Where does the pleasure come from? It is a very important question. Where does the pleasure of experience comes from? When I eat gulab jamun, I get some pleasure. The gulab jamun, when I make it, I did not add any substance called as pleasure in that gulab jamun. I only added some sugar, some ghee, some flour, some milk. It is only those things. If we see the ingredient list of gulab jamun, it will have some combination of only these things. It will never have an entity called as pleasure in gulab jamun. If that being the case, from where do I get that pleasure? From where do I receive pleasure? If I receive sweetness from gulab jamun, it is because I have added sweet in the gulab jamun. If we receive pleasure from gulab jamun, where do I receive that pleasure? This is a very important question. It is a very profound question. Shastra says you derive that pleasure not from outside, but from inside of you. For example, say you made something with haldi powder. Haldi na theriyum illaya, manjapodi. Manjapodiya naraya potu you make a dish. For whoever person who eats that dish, their hand is going to be yellow in color. Right? When I eat like lemon rice or puliodarai with lot of manjapodi, what happens? Even after I wash my hand, I will have some yellow color in my hand, because that haldi is added to the dish. The haldi, the manjapodi, the turmeric powder belongs to the dish. That is why, irrespective of who eats the dish, that haldi is going to be stuck to their hands. On the other hand, if we look at pleasure, pleasure does not belong to the dish. Why? Because for some person, eating gulab jamun gives them pleasure. For other people, eating gulab jamun will not give them pleasure. If the quality of pleasureness, pleasurable, if the quality of pleasure belongs to the gulab jamun, then whoever eats the gulab jamun should receive the pleasure. Just like how whoever eats that lemon rice that is mixed with haldi, their hands will be stained with the haldi, irrespective of whoever eats it. But pleasure is not that kind of quality. Pleasure, whoever eats gulab jamun will not be pleasurable, will not be pleasured. Only some people who eat gulab jamun will receive pleasure, and other people who eat gulab jamun will not have any pleasure about it. So the haldi, the quality of yellowness belongs to the rice, but the quality of pleasure or pain does not belong to the object, but it belongs to the subject. I am the subject. I eat gulab jamun. Gulab jamun or lemon rice, those are objects. I am the subject. Haldi, it is present in the rice. The haldi, it is a property. The turmeric powder is the property of the object. That is why whoever eats the object, whenever they eat the object, how much ever they eat that object, it is going to be present. If I eat little bit, my hands are going to be stained a little bit. If I eat a lot, even if I don't like that, if I eat a lot, I am going to have more haldi on my hand. But gulab jamun getting pleasure from eating gulab jamun is not like that. I will eat 10 gulab jamuns maximum, but 11th gulab jamun, the same person, I am that same person. Gulab jamun, my wife made 50 gulab jamun. So all the gulab jamun belongs to the same batch, but I can only get pleasure from eating 10 gulab jamuns. எனக்கு திகட்டிடுத்து அப்படின்னா I cannot gain pleasure from the same gulab jamun. So the quality of pleasure, the quality of ananda does not remain with the object, but it remains with the subject. I decide where do I get pleasure from. I decide where do I not get the pleasure from. So it is a very important thing. Why? Because we love an object, we hate an object, depending upon how much pleasure that object gives us. We love an object because that object is giving us a lot of pleasure. We unnecessarily hate an object because the object is incapable of giving us a lot of pleasure. But the problem is not with the object. The problem is with the subject, is with my own self. I can make myself like anything I want. I can make myself hate anything I want. If we all will have lot of unfavorable experiences in our life, it is in our hand. The pleasure or pain from any experience, they don't remain with those experiences, but they remain with us. I can make myself like any unfavorable experience. I can also make myself hate any number of favorable experiences as well. So if you want to be happy, then we have to train ourselves to like any amount of unfavorable experiences that we encounter. I'm not saying we have to pray for unfavorable experiences. I'm not saying we have to look for unfavorable experiences. But if we get any unfavorable experience, we have to always remember the Ananda, the pain, the pleasure. It is in my hand. It has got no amount of, the experience has got no amount of pleasure or pain in it. But I dictate what I derive pleasure from. I dictate what I derive pain from. Simple example. Summerல இருக்கும், air condition வீட்ல இல்ல, there is no power, there is no air condition. You can decide to make your own life as a hell. You can also decide to make, those people who are surrounding, make all those people's life of hell as well. But you can also try to accept the situation and then move on. Because I know there will be a lot of people, current illena, they will be agitated, they will also be cranky, they will also make those people who are surrounding them agitated as well, because they think those are unfavorable situation and it is going to give you pain. But it is not. All those things are in our hand. If we train our mind enough, we can accept any amount of unfavorable situations. So priyati gunakaha sweshtartha labodaya. Sweshtartha labodaya. So while, in our waking up state and in our dream state, if we get things which we want, sweshtartha labha udaya, we experience Anandamaya kosha. And this Anandamaya kosha, the extent of our happiness, it depends upon how much pure our kosha is. For example, you have a mirror. You have a mirror, and this mirror is going to reflect some light. If this mirror is clean enough, then you can get a lot of light reflecting from the mirror. If this mirror is not clean enough, then the quality of the reflected light also decreases, right? In the same way, the Anandamaya kosha is like that mirror. If you have lot of impurities, not in the Anandamaya kosha, but in the Manomaya kosha, in the Pranamaya kosha, then the amount of happiness that you receive, it is also going to be low. If you are Anandamaya kosha, if your Mano, Buddhi, Ahankaram, Chittam, body, if they all are pure, if they let the Ananda reflect a lot, then you will also receive a lot of Ananda. So there is a gradation. There is a gradation of how much happiness do you get. And Shastra says there are 3 types of gradation. Priyam, Modam, Pramodam. These are the 3 types of, these are the 3 levels of Ananda that we receive, says Shastra. Priyam, Modam, and Pramodam. What is Priyam? What is Modam? What is Pramodam? Vastu Darshanam. I like gulab jamun. I want to eat gulab jamun. I'm craving for gulab jamun. I go to a hotel. I see the menu card. In the menu card, I see the two words gulab jamun. So I know that this hotel is selling gulab jamun. I will get some type of ananda. Apada. In the hotel, they have the gulab jamun. I already went to two hotels, and those hotels do not sell gulab jamun. This is the third hotel that I'm trying, and I have not even seen the gulab jamun. I know that this hotel sells the gulab jamun. Even by knowing that, I will get some ananda. That is called as priyam. Shastra says vastu darshanam. I know that they sell gulab jamun, and the bearer comes, and I order gulab jamun to him, and the bearer is also, he has taken gulab jamun from the kitchen, and he has placed that gulab jamun in front of me. I have obtained the gulab jamun. It is called as labhaha. Labhaha, lab dhatu. Lab means to obtain. So vastu darshanam, I know that the hotel sells gulab jamun, and now the gulab jamun is right in front of my table. That ananda will be a little bit more ananda. Priyam, I know that the hotel sells gulab jamun. Moda, the gulab jamun is right in front of me. And now, when I eat the gulab jamun, I get even more pleasure. That is called as vastu anubhavam. I experience that gulab jamun, and that type of pleasure is called as pramodaha. So, priyam, modam, pramodam. Gulab jamun darshanam is priyam. Gulab jamun labham is modam. Gulab jamun anubhavam is pramodam. So depending upon, this gradation of ananda is depending upon what you do, depending upon your ishtartha labodaya. We can see these things with kids. குழந்தைகள்கிட்ட போய் நான் சாக்லேட் வச்சிருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாலே குழந்தைகள் சந்தோஷப்படும். The kids will be so happy. You don't even have to give the chocolate to them. You will say, hey, I went to the store, I bought chocolate for you. If you do this, I will give you chocolate. They will have vastu darshanam. They know that, okay, chocolate is present in my house. They will be so happy. And next, what will they do? They will come and say, hey, mother, I will study. You give me my chocolate only after I finish my homework. But just show me the chocolate. They believe you. They are our sons. They believe you that you bought them chocolate, but they want to see that thing from their own eyes. So if you show them the chocolate, they will be even more happy. That is vastu labham. First is vastu darshanam. You know that chocolate is there. And then vastu labham, you show them the chocolate. And when they finish the homework, when you give the chocolate after they finish the homework, they will get even more ananda. So priyam, modam, pramodam. These are the three gradations of ananda. That's what he says, priyadi gunakaha. So when we say priyadi gunakaha, you have to remember these three terms: priyam, modam, and pramodam. Priyadi gunakaha, and they arise from sweshtartha labodaya. Says, then he says, punyasyanubhave vibhadi kritinam ananda rupa swayam. Punyasya anubhave vibhati. When we experience our punyam, we will get anandam. It is normally the opposite things. Normally we say, எனக்கு ரொம்ப புண்ணியமா இருந்தது, நான் போன ஜென்மத்துல புண்ணியம் பண்ணிருந்தேன்னா இந்த ஜென்மத்துல நம்ம சந்தோஷமா இருப்போம். That is what we normally say, right? If I have done many punyams in my last janma, then I will be happy. If I have done papams in my last janma, then I will face sorrow. That is what we normally say. But it has to be taken the other way. By experiencing those pleasures, what are we doing? You are depleting your punyam count. It is like the currency. Now, a debit card எடுத்துட்டு போறேன். I go to a shop with a debit card. I buy things from the shop. I will be happy that, hey, I bought a lot of stuff, but I should also be sad because my bank balance goes down. அதை யாரும் நம்ம பார்க்கறதே இல்லை. அதே மாதிரி தான் இந்த ஜென்மத்துல இப்ப நம்ம சந்தோஷமா இருக்கோம்னு நம்ம நினைச்சுட்டு இருக்கோம் அண்ட் சந்தோஷமா இருக்கோம். ஆனா the more we experience Ananda, it is going to deplete the punyam from our punyam account. Punyasyanubhave vibhati kritinam ananda rupasvayam sarvo nandati yatra sadhu tanubran matra prayatnam vina. And you don't have to do any prayatnam to experience Ananda. Kanna மூடிட்டு தூங்கினா ஒரு பிரயத்தனம் கூட பட வேண்டாம். You don't have to work for getting good sleep. Just you sleep. If you have a dreamless state, you will experience Ananda. Just like, no matter how much worse your situation is, if you see some little bit progress, you will feel Ananda. So in order to experience Ananda, you don't have to do any prayatnam. If you have punyam, you will experience Ananda, and that Ananda comes from within you mainly. This is the point. This is the take home point. Any Ananda, if it comes within you. It does not come from any object that are surrounding you. Ananda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanur Vrittis Tamojrumbhitas Syad Anandamaya Priyadi Gunaka Sweshthartha Labodaya Punyasyanubhave Vibhati Kritinam Ananda Rupasvayam Sarvo Nandati Yatra Sadhu Tanubrin Matra Prayatnam Vina. Next shloka, he says he is going to say some things he want to repeat again. He says Anandamaya koshasya sushuptau spurtirutkata swapna jagarayorishadishtas swapna jagarayorishat ishtasamdarshanadina. While we are having deep sleep state, sushuptau spurtirutkata, while we are having our deep sleep state, Anandamaya kosha comes just like that. But when you are having dreams or when you are in the waking up state, you will experience Ananda only Ishta Sandarshanadina. Only when you experience, only when you get the things that you want, you will experience the Anandamaya kosha during the waking up state and in the dream state. But in your deep sleep state, you will always experience the Anandamaya kosha. Now, the very important shloka, even this Anandamaya kosha is not your own self. Naivayam Anandamaya paratma sopadhikatvat prakriter vikarat karyatva hetoho sukrita kriyaya vikara sangad asamahitatvat. Says Acharya, naiva naeva anandamayaha paratma. This Anandamaya kosha is not the paratma. It is not the atma. It is not the supreme self. Why? Sopadhikatvat. What is sopadhikatva? Upadhi means condition. Upadhi has got a lot of meaning. Here we can say upadhi means conditioned. Why? Because this Anandamaya kosha is a conditional Anandamaya kosha. Anandamaya kosha can only reflect the Ananda. So there are gradations, there are upadhis. How to understand upadhi? I have two objects in front of me, fire and water, fire and hot water. I have two objects in front of me. I try to touch the fire, it is so hot. I try to touch the water, because it is hot water, the water is also so hot. But the heat belongs to the fire. Fire's nature is heat, but water's nature is not heat. Water got its hotness from, water got its heat from the fire. So the heat in the fire, it is nirupadhihi. It is unconditioned. Whenever you touch the fire, it is going to be hot. But the heat in the hot water, it is sopadhihi. It is conditioned only when the water is in contact with fire, the water is going to be hot. After some time, the water will lose its hotness. So that is why, Lalita Sahasranamathile Nirupadhir Nirishwara abdinla varum. So there we will see this Upadhi, the concept of Upadhi even more. But now Upadhi means conditioned. In the same way, the Ananda of the Anandamaya kosha, it is conditional on the Atma. If Atma is not there, the case is only hypothetical. Atma can never be absent. But just for an argument's sake, if Atma is absent, then the Anandamaya kosha cannot reflect the Ananda. That is why we say Upadhi. Sopadhikatvat. Sa Upadhi is Sopadhi. Sopadhikatvat Anandamaya kosha na Paratma. Anandamaya kosha is not our original self. Prakriter vikara. This we have seen before. What Prakriti? Prakriti means Anatma. It is an inanimate object. All the pancha koshas, they are made up of pancha bhutas. Even though it is made up of sukshma pancha bhutas, but it is still material. It is still inert. That is why we say prakritehe vikarat naivayam anandamayaha paratma sopadhikatvat prakriter vikarat. And it says कार्यत्व हेतोः सुकृत क्रियाया विकार संघात असमाहितत्वात् आनंदमय कोशा, it is the effect. कार्यत्व हेतोः, it is the effect of sukrute kriya. It is the effect of our past actions. If I have done punyam in my previous janma, then I will experience a lot of ananda in this janma. If I don't have enough punyam account in my karma bank, then I will not experience any ananda in this janma. So this anandam, the experiential ananda, it is karyatva hetoho sukruta kriyaya. It is an effect of the good actions of the past, and vikara sangat asamahitatva. And this anandamaya kosha, it is embedded in all the other koshas. Anandamaya kosha, it is embedded in our sthula sharira, because when we are waking up, we mainly observe, we mainly transact with the world through the sthula sharira, and you will get ananda in our sthula sharira as well. And when you are dreaming state, you mainly interact with only your sukshma sharira, and you will get ananda in your sukshma sharira as well. So because it is present in all these things, and mainly because it is ever changing vikaritvat, and it is sopadhikatvat, it is conditional, this anandamaya kosha is not the real self. It has taken 209 shlokas for Adi Shankaracharya to explain what is anatma. Atma, he will be explaining only in 5 or 10 shlokas. Anatma, nama paadi varaikkum vandutom. Vivekachudamani has got about 500 shlokas. Of those, 200 shlokas he spent in explaining in detail about all the anatmas. Now he is going to talk about Atma. What is he going to say? Panchanam api koshanam nishedhe yuktita shrute tannishe dhavadi sakshi bodharupaha avasishyate. If you remove panchanam api koshanam nishedhe, if you remove nishedhe, all the 5 koshas, if you remove yourself from all the five koshas. Meaning what? It is not actual removal, but intellectually. If you don't associate yourself with all the five koshas, by what? Yuktitaha, Shrutaha. Shruti means Vedas, because Vedas say so. In Taittiriya Upanishads, we have this Panchakosha Vilakshana. Anando Brahme Divyajanat, Anandadhyeva Kalvimani Bhutani. In like that, we have say Vasta Annam Brahme Divyajanat, and then Pranam, and then Manam, and then Vijnanam, and then it ends like Anando Brahme Divyajanat. So, because Shruti says so, with the Shruti Vakyam and with Yuktitaha. Yukti means logic. Advaita Vedanta depends a lot on Shruti and Yukti Pramana. Shruti, Vedas, and Yukti, logic, are the two major source of knowledge in Advaita Vedanta. So, with your logic, with your applying your mind, and applying the Shruti Vakyams, if you remove yourself from all these five koshas, if you negate all the five koshas as Anatman, then what is remaining? Tan nishedhavadhi sakshi bodharupaha avasishyate. What is remaining? What is not these five koshas? What is remaining? That is the real self. That is Atma. The Sakshi Chaitanyam is Atma, says Acharya. And then this is probably the first time we are seeing, because Acharya has introduced Atma in some other positions before. I don't think I have ever discussed that with you, because I wanted to teach it in a certain way. This is probably the first time the Atman is being defined in Vivekachudamani. In this class, Acharya defines Atma as Yoyam Atma Swayam Jyotihi Panchakosha Vilakshanaha Avasthatraya Sakshi San Nirvikaro Niranjanaha Sadanandaha Savigneyaha Swatmatvena Vipaschita. Soyamatma Swayam Jyotihi. All these words are very, 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 very important. Swayam Jyotihi, Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Sat, Nirvikaraha, Niranjanaha, Sadanandaha. All these words are very important. We are going to see all about Atma in our coming classes. With this, I will finish today's class. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.